Hello everyone, it's Greg. Welcome to my first playthrough video, which is going to be Thunderstone Quest Barricade mode, solo mode. I'm very excited about this. This is my first time playing solo mode. I've done a lot of competitive with my wife and friends, and we've tried cooperative mode a couple times. Really enjoyed that, so I'm really excited to do this solo mode for the first time with you all. A few things to take care of first is what's new on Barricade mode. First off, as you might see, there is our boss. It is no longer on a card, but instead a nice tile. We're going to be playing against Smorga, and this is her lair. As you can see, we cannot enter her lair at this time. We have to wait until she's flipped over. At the beginning of each turn, before we place our champion in the village, or wherever it may be, maybe it be in the dungeon, we have to roll dice as to the threat level indicates. So this is the threat level, so we have to roll one die for round 1 through round 3. For round 4 to round 6, we have to roll 2 dice, and round 7 and 8, 3 dice. These dice have different markings on them, so this represents 1 monster, this represents 2 monsters, blood, green, damage. We have a trophy here, draw 1 card. These different colors, though, are on this tile, which tells us what they are. So if we roll a purple or a blue, you may take 2 festering wounds. If you do not, add 2 monsters to the monster pool. If you roll a red, take 1 festering wound, add 1 monster to the monster pool if you have a dwarf or a halfling. And if we roll a green, gain 1 iron ration or 1 lantern token, add 1 monster or 2 monsters to the monster pool if you have an elf or a wizard. So obviously dwarves, halflings, elves, and wizards are going to be a little more harsh against us. And as we continue to go through, we roll more dice, which gives us greater chances to be rolling these colors. Once we go past round 8, we will increase the threat level even more, up to 5 dice for rounds 12 and greater. But however, we can go fight her and try to defeat her. She takes 3 light to get there. Her health is at minimum 10. She has 2 festering wounds and 8 experience points for spoils. Since we're playing solo, we have to defeat her twice. If we're playing 2 or more, or 4 or 5 or 6, this indicates how many damage we have to give against her. When she's revealed, deal 1 damage directly to each village location with 2 or fewer damage. She changes a little bit here for nastiness. If there's 2 or more players, so if you're doing cooperative, she gains more health for each monster in the monster horde. But for us, since we're doing solo, she's just going to be a 10. Which, I say just a 10, but it's going to be tough. So this is Smorga. So for right now, we're going with Smorga's lair. To be marking off each round, they give us a nice little token here, which we'll put on round 1. There's a lot of dice that is used, as you can see over here, and we'll pick up more dice as need be. For damage, as I mentioned before, they have these cardboard, but they're nice though, tokens. So this one says Guild's Quarters, and there's 4 of them in this bag. There's 4 of each place, and whenever we leave these monsters in the monster horde, after we're battling in the dungeon, we have to draw these damage chits equal to the number of monsters that are left over. So if there was 1 left over, we would draw 1 from the bag, and 2 if there was 2 left. So when we draw 1, we put it on the board, and that spot is no longer accessible to us. If all 4 spots are taken by damage chits, that placed in the village is considered destroyed and we can no longer go there. So it's really important that we keep the village alive as best we can and that no place gets destroyed, otherwise we lose their abilities. So one way to defend against all these damages is by what the name says in the title, barricades. So this is the Guild's Quarters Barricade. You can see its effect is a little different. We'll get that in a moment. But this is the inactive... Oh, excuse me, I'm fighting a cold here. So this is the inactive side, and then this is the active side. If it's active, it's going to have this green outline, and when it's inactive, it has this red outline. It costs 10 to activate it, unless we have an ability that designates otherwise, and then it'll get flipped to green. When it does, it'll be placed on the board like so, and if we draw a Guild's Quarters token, it does not go onto the board, but back into the bag, and then the barricade gets flipped over to save 1 damage from the village. So as long as it's cost effective and you're able to do it, I would really suggest building up your barricades, because once Smorga gets turned over and the dice rolls really come in, the monsters are really going to be flowing into the village. We'll get back to the Guild's Quarters effect here. The hero you level up in the village this turn may instead be leveled up as a spoils. So what that means is that if we have Stormhand here, a level 1, and we had 3 experience, and we decided to go to the village, excuse me, go to the village, and we go to the Guild's Quarters. We'll say, I want to level up my Stormhand for our 3. So we'll put that down. We'll leave it to the side just so we don't forget about it and say that we have paid it. And then after we're done the village phase, what's nice about Barricades mode is that once you do a village phase, you can then immediately do a dungeon phase. No matter where you are in the village, you can then do a dungeon phase. So after we go do a dungeon phase and we defeat a monster, we can then, per the Guild's Quarters, level up our Stormhand. So then we put this away, discard it, not in the discard pile, but destroy it, and then take the level 2 Stormhand, put it in the discard pile. Excuse me. So this is a good way to keep our heroes in the fight a little longer, and once they defeat a monster, they get juiced up, and they level up. And that is how the Guild's Quarters work. The Marketplace also has a nice little effect, especially for cooperative. Draw 1 card, or give, lend, borrow 1 card to from another player. So for right now, for solo mode, this means we can draw a card if we go to the Marketplace. Barricades mode also gives us this nice tile. It gives it for epic mode. And for campaign mode. I've used this ability a couple times. It's really nifty when the card that's in your hand is back in the box. Excuse me. No, something else that's new in Barricades mode is Prestige class. So there's multiple Prestige classes. This one is Town Guard. And there's 2 sides. There is the regular side for competitive, and then there's a side for Barricades mode. It designates on the side. It gives you effects. As the more you rank up, the better the effects are. So at a rank 7 for spoils, we can remove 1 monster or 1 damage. So that is very crucial. We need to rank up as soon as we can to get that. It goes to rank 9. The cost for each rank is designated inside, so it cost us 1 to go to rank 2, but it cost us 2 more to get to rank 3. You have to go in order, you cannot skip. In order to rank up, it tells us up here. To rank up 1 time, a turn ends where Barricade canceled a damage or the village received no damage. Or you can rank up once or twice if we damage the Guardian. If we roll a trophy, when building barricades this turn, you may build one barricade for 0. So that's really helpful if we don't have a lot of gold and we roll that. And then this is the other side. It's a little different for ranking up and abilities. And I'll just show you here. So as we'll go through it all, I'll tell you how we rank up. There's not just the town guard that we're choosing, there's actually quite a few prestige classes. They're really nice, they're really fun. I'm not going to ruin what else there is right now, but they are there. To get into our deck, our starting deck is going to be a little different, as you may know. It'll start with your 6 adventurers and your 2 daggers. Normally, you would probably play with 2 lanterns and 2 thunderstone shards. However, for barricades mode, no matter if it's cooperative or solo, you do not play with these cards. These will go back into your box and you will draw these cards instead. You'll have Joba, which is 2 gold, gives you 2 skill. He's a beast, ally, starter, and he designates here solo or cooperative. And for spoils, you can level up 1 hero, paying experience cost. If they are level 0, instead pay 0 cost. So it's kind of like having a giant rat in your hand, which is really nice to keep your heroes leveling up. Here we have Bree Septim, 3 gold, 1 combat, gives you 2 skill. She's going to be a halfling. She's also for solo and co-op for barricades mode only. Once per turn after a die is rolled, you may re-roll the die before it resolves. If you do, discard Bree unless you have Joba. So they go really well together. If you have a bad roll, you have her as a backup. And finally we have 2 Thunderstone Staffs. It's a magic item, barricades mode for solo only. So this will only be for solo play. For cooperative, there is Thunderstone pieces that are used instead. 2 gold gives us 2 extra light if the Guardian is revealed but has 1 already. And for a dungeon if you have a wound, if you draw 1 card. If you have 4 or fewer if you have 4 or fewer health points, you may heal 1 wound instead. So it's just kind of there to keep you in the fight or go a little farther into the dungeon. So we will shuffle this up. For the setup, I've decided to go with the first quest and the very first game that it suggests in the quest book for Smorga. I like to keep everything the same to keep the rhythm the same for the cards. For the heroes, we will have Silverhelm, who's going to be our cleric fighter, but he'll be our cleric this time. We have Stormhand, who is a fighter. Both Silverhelm and Stormhand are both dwarves. We have Hawkswood, who is an elf rogue. And we have Pylorian, who is a human wizard. For our marketplace weapons, we have the hammer, a short sword, who gives us a little extra draw power for wielding 2 weapons. Short bow is a little better for elves and rogues. Future vision. If we have a cleric or a wizard, we have +1 HP and put a card on top of your deck. So a little preparing there. Magic Missile goes really well with Pylorian. Fireball, which is nice little extra damage on top of it all, a little icing on the cake. Gem of Healing, heal a wound to draw a card, keeps us in the dungeon a little longer. And Tome of Knowledge, destroy this card to level up 1 hero paying 0 cost. So that'll be helpful too to rank up or to level up our heroes as quickly as possible. For our monsters, for level 1, we're going with the Goblin Grunts. We're going with randomizers here. And then level 2 is the Hobgoblin Brutes, who will attack heroes and their equipment. And level 3, Ancient Adventurers. Should be noted for Barricades mode, you do not use Guardian Keys. They are not important for this mode because the objective for this mode is to not get Guardian Keys to then go fight the boss. It's to survive long enough with the village intact to then go down into the boss's lair and to defeat the boss as much as you can, or as much as you need to actually win. Experience points at the end does not matter either because, as I said, the objective is to defeat the boss. Other than that, I believe we've covered everything we need to cover at this time. This is going to be the Festering Wound deck, which actually includes Festering Wounds and Diseased Wounds. So if we get one of those, we'll go over that as well. Without further ado, we will draw 6 cards to start with. 6. Excuse me. And then we will need to draw, or I'm sorry, not draw, we need to roll before we place our hero. And would you know it? It is a trophy. So that means when building a barricade this turn, you may build 1 barricade for 0. So right now, we have an adventurer with a dagger. We got 2 Thunderstone Staffs, another adventurer, and Joba to help us rank up a little bit. So we're not required to fight any monsters this turn. And it would be helpful if I filled in the dungeon. So we'll do that real quick. So we have the Goblin Shaman for level 1. And our other one is a Goblin Potion Tester. If you move through this room, gain 1 blood. Inside the Sunken Well will be the Hobgoblin Lieutenant. Discard 1 weapon with physical attack or 1 hero with magic. Another one will be Dire Wolfmaster. Destroy 1 spell or 1 wizard. That's pretty nasty, especially if we want to go for a wizard build. For level 3, we have the Rogue. If you have less than 3 light, destroy all of your gear tokens. That can be a nuisance. And our other one will be Alfrenia the Ranger. Plus 2 health for each of your human heroes. Now he'll be placed in the vault.